So thank you, panelists. Thank you for joining us. So we are actually, talking about a very pertinent topic, which is about global collaborations and, how we can probably enhance further mobility into higher education. So if I can request all of you to share your initial thoughts, on what do you think that, this subject or topic, means for you and for your university. So, sir, Professor Singh, if I can begin with you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. It's
Pleasure.
a wonderful feeling coming back to ELTS program after a short break. Global collaborations. It's the third thing which is happening around. Almost every university wants to be, part of that league of global collaborations. Now, I have a different perspective to that. Now, before I talk about or think about global collaboration, I would like to answer one question. That is, why should we? Do we have a clarity in my mind? What is that I want to get out of doing this? So if I go a little deeper into education and education quality, there's something called core of quality. And then there's the surface, superficial things. It's like a product and product functionality and the features of the product. And by now you must have understood where would I put global collaborations. It will be a kind of a feature because global collaboration is not going to touch my core. My core would happen only in the classroom with three important things. The first one is who is shaping, who is being shaped, and how are we shaping. That's a simple logic. Right? Unless I determine which part of these three I'm going to touch through my global collaborations, probably global collaborations won't go beyond and social experience being given to the students or the faculty. Whether collaborations are for inbound or outbound movement of our students, that also we have to determine. No doubt experience across cultures does enrich a student, but his core doesn't get affected by this. He might become an adapter, and that's also important. One need to learn to adapt to different situations. So having that kind of exposure is great, no doubt. But when I determine why do I want to have a global collaborations, probably if you look at NEP, it also talks about the same collaborations. Right? NEP, before that also, government envisaged to attract large number of foreign universities in India. Nothing has happened. It's simple because you got to understand that's their market is outbound students from India. They are not going to bring their investments to India. Look at one change in this government's rules, simply not allowing students to stay back after graduation. The enrollments will fall drastically. Therefore, it indicates that the reason for outbound movement is not education quality. It is something else. So if you want to bring a quality, look at those three things which I spoke to you. It will be great if you can send thousands of faculty members abroad to understand their process. If you feel their process are strong, if you feel that their methods are strong in terms of enhancing quality, send people from here, learn that, and come back and put that same thing into the classroom. That's my take as far as the global collaboration is concerned. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a very, unexpected take. In fact, nobody expected that. So, great. So, Shriyance Jain, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to talk of two things regarding international collaborations. See, it's a very wide topic. The first one, which would benefit us all, is in the field of research. that yes, they have got better facilities than us. They have a wider exposure towards research. They have been doing it for much longer. Um, yes, that is very beneficial, and that's something that we have got to go for. And many of the universities are trying to go for it, even though it might be just on a paper level and not really getting into the details. Secondly, there's a huge problem that currently faces international collaborations is the fact that let's talk about four fields majorly. One is engineering, management, medical. Uh, and the major universities are legal. You can also take Yale for legal. You can take MIT for engineering. You can take John Hopkins for medical. Harvard for management studies. They all have got their curriculums online. You can copy it. You can take it up 110%. You've got Harvard Business Reviews that you can subscribe. The bigger problem comes with the acclimatization of their curriculum into the Indian education system. That is where we fail most of the time. We can get the curriculum, we can get the books, we can get everything what we need online, but who's going to teach them? Let's count out the IIMs, the IITs of India that have just reached into the top 100 universities of the world. The rest of the universities, the teaching staff, they have not been acclimatized to such kind of teaching that the rigor that these universities are currently teaching at the kind of curriculum they are teaching, the kind of practicality they are bringing into the education system. Just now, there was a company that was talking about Finnish education. Yes, it is one of the best. They do not allow any student to take any notebook home. Can we think of such a scenario in India as of now, even in school education, let alone universities? The kind of pressure the students here are under, the competition is immense. I agree to that. But also, are we just asking them to read the books and not actually getting them to engage? The biggest from what we face even in our universities that many of the students are afraid of engaging into various topics because they're afraid of failing. I know I've swayed off the topic of international collaborations, but by quite a lot. But it is a ground up problem that we need to address. And the more we can focus on these, the more we can build up the confidence of the students, the more we can build up the confidence of our teachers, and overall the FDPs, the quality of the FDPs, they can increase and actually gradually reach the level that these international faculties, international teachers are teaching at the kind of methods, the kind of technologies, the kind of just overall aura they are using to get the students engaged. If we can get that in India, then yes, academic collaborations, international collaborations would actually be of use, and we can stand side by side with all the international collaborating universities and be at the same level instead of going door to door and just asking them, can we have a collaboration with you so that we can put it on a piece of paper and show it to students that we have collaborations here and we can get more numbers of students in the admissions.
Right, right. Shriyance, I'll come back to you on that, but let's hear from Pravesh Dudani ji.
Hello. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you, Elets Media, for inviting me here. I represent Medhavi Skills University, which is India's leading skills university, pioneering skill-based higher education. So let me give my view and context. First, I will address the why and how. So why global collaboration? Essentially, we have all heard our Honorable Prime Minister saying that it is our vision to make India skills capital of the world. Now that vision comes from a lot of problems we have been facing. One, obviously, everybody knows that the demographic dividend is a big problem. Two, as a country, we have been facing a lot of not only brain drain, but skill drain as well, right? People are going overseas because internationally the wages are very, very high. If you see a plumber who earns maybe 15-20,000 in India, in Germany can earn more than 2 to 3 lakhs per month as an income. So there is clearly a wage parity, right? There is a wage arbitrage which people aspire, right? But frankly, there are no right ways, there are no clear pathways which are defined in our education system, which enables students to go overseas, practice, learn, apprentice, and get jobs, right? So now what Government of India is doing is creating those pathways. So if you see the recent regulations which came from UGC about the collaborations of HEIs with global HEIs, which is you can run a twining program or a dual degree program. These are all in lines how student can also experience international education while saving the cost. So there are models now which is very prevalent that you start in India for a 4-year program, complete 2 years in India, and complete the 2 years overseas at a partner institution and get an international recognition. There are dual degree models. You get 2 degrees at the same time from an international organization and the Indian HEI. Now, it's these are education to education pathways, but now it is a time where we also look at education to skills pathway or education to employment pathways. Now why I am saying this is essentially because of the new regulations which are coming by the education regulators, the skill regulators, the UGC and the NCVET. There are very specific provisions that the learning which the students are doing at a campus or through an HEI can be skill based. You can integrate skills into education. Now, integration of skills into education, and that skills can be acquired through any platform. It could be an online education. It could be an on-the-job education. It could be a learning or actually a project getting done in an overseas employer, right? So you can configure programs working with an international employer where out of a 3-year or 4-year curriculum, students can study for 1 or 2 years in India and complete their on-the-job training as an apprentice or an intern for the 2 to 3 semesters overseas. So these models are allowed. These models the government is propagating because there is a clear need of people who can go overseas, earn, and earn much more than what they could have done in India. So there is a clear arbitrage and leverage, right? So these are few ideas which I see it's very, very important. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Dr. Sahay, over to you. It's working, ma'am. Yes, working. Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you to ELTES for creating this occasion. I'm happy to be here, not just for this panel discussion, but also for an opportunity to meet some old friends. I am from a land which is, and let me flip this conversation, we've been talking about collaborations. And mostly when we use the word collaboration, we think in terms of Indian institutions tying up with Western institutions, trying to learn from them, and so on and so forth. And trying to ensure that our mobility happens. Mobility happens in terms of students, in our faculty, in terms of researchers, and so on. I come from Bihar. I come from Bodh, Gaya. I come from a place which is just 70 kilometers away from Nalanda. So that inspires me big time. I come from a place where what you were talking of demographic dividend is the most in the face. Because when I go from Bodh Gaya to Patna, and I hate this rhetoric that Bihar is Garib, because Bihar is not Garib, because the biggest resource is human resource, and human resource is plenty, not just in Bihar, but in the entire country. Actually, you have to remove them from roads while you walk. It's as I would say, abandoned. Now, one is, of course, in the morning I was reading a data. Of course, it was a little dated, 2022, that roughly about 7.5 or 8 lakh Indians go abroad, and we spend close to about $50 billion there. Yes, there's a part of India which can afford. There's a part of India which the foreign universities want to invite by giving scholarships, by inviting them. And a part of India can now afford. So those who can afford, and I also know that especially in the tier 1 India, where entitled is a wrong word, negative word, but a well-off section finds it difficult to compete with extremely competitive written exams that we have in our country, they find it much more value-based to go abroad. So let's send them. My issue is, when do we talk in terms of creating inward mobility? And with whatever little experiment that we've been doing in our school, I hope most of you know that we are tier 3 IIMs. I hate to call ourselves baby IIMs because we've grown, and we've grown really fast. Most of the tier 3 IIMs, at least we can claim that, yeah, we are already the second largest campus in the country amongst IIMs, especially in terms of number of students. And this is needed in the country. We need to not just educate our students, we also need to create attraction from around. I know that US student would not come and study here to start with. They don't even come for exchange. And that's the reason every time I approach a US university for collaboration, for mobility, point blank in the face, they tell, oh, Vinita, our students are not interested in coming to India. And there is a skewed relationship. We are not interested. Fair enough. Let's create value. See, the value creation is the buzzword. We can create enough value for universities in and around us. We can create enough collaborations with countries in and around us. And of course, in line with what the current governance and current leadership feels, that we need to become the knowledge provider of the world, which historically we have always been. And that's the reason I quoted Nalanda connection. I keep hearing, whenever I get little, bogged down by environment, I go to Nalanda to get inspired. And standing there, when they tell us that it was much more difficult to get into Nalanda than what it is to get into Harvard today. People used to camp outside for months together just to get into that university. But again, enough of past glory. That's done and dusted. That's history. Can we recreate it now? And as academicians, we can stake a claim that yes, we are ready. We do provide good value-based education. Maybe not for developed world, enough for the developing countries and not so developed ones. And create reverse mobility. Good for our campus. Very good for our campus. Internationalization just doesn't mean are we sending them. Internationalization also means they coming and spending time. In fact, going through accreditation process, we know that we have internationalization targets where we have to have faculty which is international. We have to have students which is international. So let's start thinking and strategizing even for that. That's one part. But of course, the second part where we send our students abroad. Yeah. Definitely, the kind of college towns that they've created. I myself have taught in a small city in Denmark called Aarhus, which is nothing but a student town. Recently, I went to Cornell, which is nothing but a student town. Let's create those. They have done it well. We should go and learn from them. We should go and find what are the best benchmarks, best practices, and bring them here. And that's what's our job is. That's it.
Great. Very, very diverse views, coming from each of our panelists. So before I move ahead, any questions we have from the audience? Okay, great. Can we have the mic, please? Yes, Divyangi, can you please pass on the mic to the front of the hall? You can take mic, please. So if you could introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, friends. I am Dr. M.L. Kaur, Vice Chancellor, Dr. C.B. Raman University in Bihar, Vaishali. Just joined 3 months back. I was in Government of India for 40 years. People were saying me, why are you going to Bihar? After being in Gujarat for 25 years, you are full. Well, I will go for 3 months and then come back. After going there, I found what Madam has told. I will be there for 3 years. This is my introduction. I did my PhD in hydrology from IIT Roorkee 25 years back. Infosys chairman, Narayana Murthy, we got degree together. Okay, my question is that we are talking of global movement. For what it is? My father used to tell in Hindi, I belong from Gwalior, कि Hindustan, Bhed Dasan. Indian people are like sheep. If one sheep moves, All will move in that side. Before moving, do we have our direction fixed? Where we are moving? Why we are moving? What we will get? If you want to do collaboration, what is the harm? If you do the same collaboration within the country, within the state, we are having many good institutions. Let us try that. Then go. Second thing is, when you move outside, you will have a plenty of knowledge, flood of knowledge. Your mind is limited volume.
So can we have the question?
Yeah,
Please?
too many pupils, too many cooks spoil the food. This is the system of globalization that we are following. We must be very careful. Instead of taking it as a visiting facility, as a tourist, it should be a demand driven. So what are the planning and policy in this regard from the government of India? Are they thinking? If so, in what way? This is my question.
Inward mobilization cannot happen unless the government does a lot of things. Change its legal framework, especially say labor laws. Can you facilitate faculty moving to India? Can you remove that bar of paying them, or you want to put them into the scales and levels? They aren't going to come here. Right. And above all, for inward coming, the culture of a country is very, very important. Will we allow those students to work here like, they allow our students to work there? So there is a lot of work to be done on this direction at the government level. Of course, at the institutional level, you see, collaboration is always between equals. If you go and back them, they aren't going to give us. As ma'am already said, she already spoke about it. So unless I strengthen my own learning experience and culture of my organization, I don't think we should rush for collaborations. We work reverse way, We are a young university and we rush for collaborations to try and gain from them. They won't allow us. First, you come to that level where you get a respect and then collaborate. If do it reverse, it's not possible. Otherwise, you probably might get those numbers which everyone is looking forward to. So a lot of thought processes to go into collaboration. It's not signing an MOU alone. Thank you.
I want to add, we talked about inward mobility and outward mobility. Now, just 2 cents on both. See, inward mobility is extremely important from a Government of India point of view, primarily because we have seen that people do anything and everything to go overseas, right? There are dollars flowing from India to overseas, right? People are spending 50 lakh, 1 crore, 2 crore on their child's education for overseas education just because there is an aspirational value. So, why can't we have those infrastructure, facilities, ambience where we can motivate our incoming students from schools to not go overseas but study in India? There is a race, as you rightly said. We have a sheep mentality. It's a rat race. I mean, school students are competing. I went to a coaching for my IIT. I went to IIT Kharagpur. But when I look back, I mean, I spent 2 years just coaching because I wanted to get into IIT. Those were my prime school days. Similarly, there is a mindset, kind of a herd mentality. But why can't we break that? Why can't we have Nalanda University, a modern Nalanda University where Indian students would aspire that, no, I don't want to go to Harvard. I will create value for India, study in India because there is a good infrastructure, faculty, everything is possible. Now, to enable that, there are regulations, laws which have been created for international bodies to set up infrastructure and invest in India. Earlier, it was not possible for any international, universities or organizations to invest in India. That is now possible. That is number one, as you asked about what Indian government is trying to do. Secondly, we are aware that, वो हमने सुना है ना कि पंजाब में वो कबूतर उड़ गया, right? So, Canada चला गया. Yeah, somebody is doing a normal graduation in US, UK, but actually they are not attending classes, they are doing menial jobs. because that menial jobs is earning them 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh every month, and they're able to cover their loans and education fees, right? That is the problem we have to solve with collaboration. That they get the best of the both worlds in the low fee structure. Now, how it is possible? When you create a pathway where they get those experience, quality global education of an overseas institute at a less time, so there the cost of living is less. They have a clear employment pathway. There is a G2G kind of an understanding, because now government of India is taking a lot of G2G MOUs and understandings are happening, where there are credit transfers being done, credit recognition, curriculum recognition at both ends, standardization on occupational standards, skill standards. All these collaborations are happening. Now, that will only enable that people, whether they are trained in India or overseas, they get an international standard skills and education, which they can utilize, those certifications they can utilize to get an employment overseas. So those pathways have been created. Now, what I think is that as a HEI community, we have to focus on those collaborations. We have to create that aspirations. We have to create such interesting pathways of overseas mobility, right? That is our very, very important responsibility.
Yeah, sure, sure.
There are two, I'd just like to differ from you a little bit. There are two types of outward mobility. One is an aspirational factor. The second is also exposure. We cannot eliminate the component of exposure for students that they get there. And to basically ask those students to study in India without having any sort of inward mobility of students from different countries and coming here and being in that same environment and giving them the exposure of the world exposure that they require. For example, me, I did my schooling from Switzerland. I did my university from University of Manchester Engineering, and I did my management from France. And everywhere I got such a beautiful exposure of different countries and such independence that I could live on my own. Today, many of the Indian universities, they do not give that independence to students. There's so many rules and regulations and this, that, uniform, all of the XYZ things they have to follow. Whereas many of these international universities, they actually let the students go and live their lives. Even if they misbehave, even if there are bad consequences, it's on them. It's not the parents, it's not the faculty. So that exposure is very essential for many of the students, and many times that cannot be achieved in India because there is no inward mobility of different countries. Maximum what inward mobility is there? You've got students from Africa, you've got students from some of the Arabic countries, which are much, much lower in their GDP per capita as compared to India. So you cannot compare those students to Indian students that are already way above the standards of the students coming in.
Yes, yeah, I'll come to you, sir.
So I have a question on the exposure part you said. My name is Rahul Shah. I work with students and colleges to prepare them to build the leaders of tomorrow. That's the idea. And I think that's my question essentially. If you really think about what's happening from a college, university standpoint, a lot of universities have moved, which new age generation wants exposure, which is more job centric. I think everyone, at the end of the day, what's the purpose is I should get placed. I think that's one of the purpose everyone has. And now classroom has turned on the other side. They're saying, you go and work. That's your classroom, not in the class. And there are institutes who have taken into those as a key dimension to make the transition from just classroom studying to going out and being entrepreneur. So how are we adapting to that culture now? Because are we shifting? Are we preparing people? Because the gap between corporate and the readiness of the student is still exists. It's so wide. You know, we all say that we want to make students ready, but it's not there. So that's my question.
Yeah, that's how do you structure your learning experience? You structure it in classroom, and you structure it outside the classroom. You decide what kinds of thinking skills you want to develop them outside the classroom. Let's not do it random. You send for 6 months outside the classroom and you have no purpose. There is no rubric to assess them what they have learned. And you never in fact thought, why are you sending them? So a well-structured learning experience within the class and outside the classroom will solve a lot of problems. Sending student only on a projects or doing work in corporate does not lead to higher order thinking, because education is not working and learning. Education is much different than only learning to earn. It's two part. One is learn to earn, another is learn to live. So both have to be structured, and there is a structured way. How do you develop one's ability to think on a higher order scale? So when you leave a child, it's his own or her. Yeah, he or she may learn to adapt. Yeah, he may learn to earn his living. But then, as far as education is much more things. Therefore, a well-structured within class and outside class system would better help us in this direction. Thank you.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Just I had one observation. Say regarding collaboration, our status and status of the Western universities are not at the same scale. That is what the professor said. But the main problem with Indian universities, funding is drying out. Okay. Still, we are governed by the non-profit kind of a scenario as of today. If rules are changed in the country, if universities are governed by the company laws, we can raise the money from the market. What has happened in the market? In last 6 months only, market capitalization has gone from 4 trillion to 5 trillion. So money is there in Indian pockets, but they are not diverted to the education, because education is not for profit. Why somebody will invest in a university if there is no return of investment? There are many universities in Gujarat across the country. If they have to raise 200 crore to 500 crore from the market, in no time they can raise. So solution is there, but we are not adopting those solutions. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
See, which is where what we were mentioning, that why are we so apologetic about sending people abroad? Let's face the fact that this is the resource we have. This is the competitive advantage India has, and let's just do it in the sense that our graduates, if they're going abroad, learning and earning for the country. See, Kerala is a remittance economy. I'm waiting when Bihar will become a remittance economy. What's wrong in it? If we have what we have, only mistake which we have, which at one point I completely agree with you, which is why I say to every officer I meet in Bihar or India for that matter, that yes, highest investment, highest priority should be education. If we have high quality, very good genetic value, good competitive minds, and more so, parents who are so interested. Like, I've worked in different states. In Chhattisgarh, the impetus on education is not so high. In Bihar, it's a different story altogether. Before you are born, people teach you ABCD later, UPSC first. And you should see during board exams, number of students inside is less than number of parents outside with dahi chini in their hands. The impetus on education is high. The population is available. Is it written on the sky? Is it written on the wall that all that as a nation we need to invest in education? Let's scale them up, skill them up. I keep telling every person I meet, oh, Japan is aged population, become a nurse and go there. 3 lakhs per month. What's wrong in it? Why would the person do Beldari here for 3,000 rupees when the same person after 6 months diploma from universities like yours can earn 3 lakhs? And let's do it. That's the only thing which we need to do. And not everybody has to do PhD. We need good masons, we need good nurses at every level, whatever people can afford and whatever people can learn. That's the whole idea. And yes, mobility both ways. See, mobility will happen value-based. We have to just work and see where is that we create value. And it's our job. Like I keep saying at every forum, when a country where the 70% of the population is under 35 years, this time around, if we fail, we don't skill them up, educate them, sorry, we can't blame Britishers. We can't blame foreign forces. Blame will lie on this panel and everybody who is sitting here.
Sorry, just an answer to your question.
1 minute, please. Say main issue is financing. Next time when you have a similar kind of event, kindly keep a track how to finance higher education. Say Indian companies, hundreds companies, their market capitalization has gone from anywhere to anywhere. Geo, Reliance, Adani. So if education sector is treated as industry, then only probably we can beat the Western world.
The government has already done that. New universities can be formed under Section 21 and can be private companies as well. No, they can be done anywhere in India now. You can form. You do not have to form a trust to have an educational institution. You can do it under Section 21 as a private company and pay all the taxes and be a private company. Yeah, you should. If you're ready to pay taxes, you can open. Amity is one of the examples that has established as a private company and is paying all the taxes. Exactly. So you do not have. It has been a provision in the government since before. So form a private company, and obviously you'll have to pay taxes if you're forming a private company, and that has been there since before. And government has made that very clear. And even for international universities, you form a private company, you keep them under collaboration, you divide up the profits, they can take their profits international. There's no problem from Government of India, and they've clearly specified in the last budget that this is absolutely possible to be done for everybody. Just that universities that are already operating under a trust, they cannot be converted into a private company. But if you open up a new one, there's no problem at all with that.
But the issue with if you are in a trust, you can still have same money without paying tax. So there are ways people doing it. So that's why yeah, of course.
Yeah. And that
I
is
would like to
why
see the
most of the
balance sheet.
corporates, large corporates, are creating universities more from their. It's a CSR obligation, and obviously it's a sustainable kind of a initiative, right? So there's a lot happening for sure. I mean, we cannot say that Indian fraternity, a corporate fraternity, is not thinking to invest in higher education.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir, your point, please. Yeah.
No, please. Don't
Yes, sir, please. Yeah, sure.
Precisely what Dr. Jain has told, I fully endorse it. And once our Honorable Prime Minister has taken the lead that internationalization and globalization had to happen. And now we, in a team, we have to think how we can do it. You see, because she came from a very old university in Nalanda and he is from Vaishali. I went from AIMS. I am a professor at AIMS, New Delhi. I am a physician. After retirement from AIMS, I now working in Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth. That is
So
also,
if you could get the
that
mic
is also
to
a health university, Pondicherry. That's also a nice place. And I also worked in between Vaishali and in between Nalanda in IGMS Patna. And at that time, it's a long story. The hospital was going to stop, but Nitish Kumar called me there. Now it is a very good, vibrant hospital. But anyway, the question is, we have to think how we can get students, good faculty from abroad. And now we have a policy. We are sending our medical students to, say, in different university in UK and USA. And students are coming here. They are getting their elective posting here. Some faculty are also coming physically as well as online. They are teaching. So that the whole world is now a global village. We cannot sit with a heart, with a world boundary. We have to sharing and knowledge and getting knowledge from them. Like you have all told that we can send our student there. They get training and they can come here and they can teach here also. They can do
Right.
whatever you want.
I agree. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
so global collaborations, yes, definitely we are looking at it. It's just that, the way we perceive it, if it's the why do we need it and how do we take it? So, quick, feedback from all of you, like, at your institute, global collaboration, how do you see the future?
Yeah, we all agree that yes, students need a global exposure. There's no doubt about it. Right. But as I said, collaboration is always between equals. So we got to strengthen our house first, and then demand what exactly we want. You reach out to a university, they say, hey, what accreditation do you have? And that also international accreditation. Say, if you're talking about the management, most of them want international accreditation. Unless you have that, they won't bother about. And above all, why should their student come here? You got to find a reason. If it is not two-way, I think that's not a collaboration. It's a one-way street, which doesn't last long. Thank you.
Yes.
As far as we at COER University are concerned, we are currently not focusing on international collaborations as far as student exchanges are concerned. We want to build a more sustainable model. So currently we are focusing towards research exchanges, project exchanges, and faculty exchanges, because these methods are going to raise the level of our faculties, our labs, our overall infrastructure to a point where we do not have to be looked down upon. See, as you said, the collaborations is between equals. I beg to differ a little bit that we are targeting collaborations with people that are far above us, so that they can teach us when their faculty comes here, when their projects are involved with us, we grow a lot more. We have done collaborations with the University of Texas. We have done collaborations with Stanley University in New York. We have done with the largest agriculture university in Russia, which is the Kuban State Agrarian University. And we have learned so many things. Their faculties are actually coming here. Just 2 weeks back, there was a complete set of faculty from University of Minnesota that had come down. They're teaching us so many things that we should learn. And actually, it kind of satisfies their egos as well, that we are going to them and saying, sir, can you please teach us this or that? So in the end, we end up learning a lot. And I sincerely suggest that first we should actually focus on faculty exchanges, faculty collaborations, instead of going straight away towards student collaborations. Exactly. No, it's both ways. Our faculties are going there and their faculties are coming here.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Our faculties are having their imagination opened. Their faculties are coming and doing that for the rest of our faculty. So it's actually a very, very thought out collaboration, and it is actually benefiting us quite a lot.
Great. Commendable.
So, from my university's perspective, Medhavi Skills University, it's a very employment-centric university, and international pathway, migration pathways is a very core objective for us, and we are very strongly working on that direction. So, few models which we are doing. We are picking up specific sectors where Indian talent, there is a need of Indian talent to perform at a country where there is a dearth of skill shortage. For example, Germany, there's a dearth of food processing technicians, to automotive technicians, to nurses, qualified nurses, geriatric cares, to truck drivers, right? Same in Australia, same in Japan. So we collaborate either through embassy or directly through employers. Just to give you an example, we are the only university which is a direct tie-up with the government of Germany to do dual model of education. So it's a program name is called Ausbilden. So essentially, it's a in which students are enrolled. We teach language and then we send them overseas in Germany. They are as an apprentice and they get a diploma from the German government and they are deployed in the industry. And it's the German government responsibility to make sure that the skills component or the education component is also delivered. Similarly, in all our hospitality programs, we have tie-ups with good hotels in US. They go in J1 visa. It's a 1-year visa. They get full 1 year of exposure. They get about 2-3 lakh rupees per month as a stipend, which is very significant. But they have to come back because in US it's very regulated. Similarly, France, so many European countries. So we pick up sectors where there is a clear dearth of skilled shortage is there, and we link it to what our people, Indian youth can do. And we see it as a great area to work. And I have a huge respect for traditional universities, which actually what Sir was saying, that critical thinking is so important. I totally agree. We need people to be leaders, to critically think, but we also need people, we have to think of people who otherwise are not able to afford their education. Only 1 out of 4 student who is coming out of school is actually able to afford a higher education. Our gross enrollment ratio is about 27-28%. So we have to focus on those students also. How do we create credible pathways linked to education? So that is what Medhavi Skills University is doing.
Great.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Yeah, actually, I was with Raipur before, so they're also hands-on. Our target was to send 2/3 of our class abroad, very clearly. But when I say this, definitely is MBA class where we wish them that they should get global exposure, because possibly in times to come they will be the global resource.
Yes.
But having said it, see, the entire world, I heard what you said, it's very valuable, but the entire world is getting cagey. With China closed, they have no choice but to look at us. We are the biggest revenue generators for them, as simple as that. Their universities run on Indian students. So, collaboration, well, they are looking to us for sending students. Now it is high time that we become totally aware that we are the biggest supply market, and let's negotiate hard with them. Because they're very smart, they want our students, but they don't want them to stay, which is what we have seen, that it's only in STEM that they are allowing three years of work ex. Otherwise, they just want you to go, pay in dollar and come back. So we have to be very, very careful that what is that value exchange that we are getting into. For most of the students, as I said, the affluent India, if they can afford it, would enjoy the exposure, go ahead and do it, learn from there and bring it back, whether as an entrepreneur, as a founder or whatever. But for the middle level, where we are very aware that a student will pay through the nose and yet will not possibly get an employment there, they only want very high-end employment or very highly skilled people out there. So we have to be very, very careful as to what we are entering into. Only thing is, yes, I have always felt that we also have to get rid of this mindset that we have not arrived. We have. With absolutely no intention to boast, but in a very recent AACSB conference, inaugural session, 976 deans and directors from across the globe, and it opens up, and there is a standard 9 which is introduced in AACSB, which is all about social impact, sustainability. And you will be surprised that best of the work which is happening in these areas, which is social impact and sustainability, is all happening in India. Our business schools are actually doing it. So when the conference started and they said, we know that Western world doesn't know how to get better into this as standard. So you know what we've done? We've got a white paper based on an Indian business school where they've done it very well. So we're going to give you illustration. So they showed the Excel sheets, impact sheets, everything. 35 minutes of presentation and a standing ovation. Believe me, after that, my life became so easy, because all that I have to say, that case study was in my school. And I feel this is newfound India. Why we always have to, we know. And I don't know, a sincere disclaimer that I don't know, but living in Bodh, somebody was telling me that Buddhism is the trader's religion. We knew it always how to trade. We knew it always how to transact, to do business. So, well, it's not by chance that for 1700 continuous years that we were economic superpower. For America, it's not been 100 years as yet. As simple as that. We just need to rediscover, we just need to get that newfound confidence. We're doing fine. Only thing is, yes, we should not be stagnant, we should not be complacent. Every day we should learn and completely, confidently offer the value that we have. We give you students, they learn, they come back. Either you take our students, because as I said, China closed. We're the biggest market. Let's, as universities, negotiate hard. What they want is our students, but let's see how we can create a mobility which is in our terms. Because in any case, they have no choice but to look at us for their what they call it is enrollments. Yeah.
Great, ma'am. Great. Wonderful thoughts. I think there was a great, collaboration and kaleidoscope of thoughts that were shared here. So thank you so much, panelists. Pleasure to have you with us.